Hey y'all, it's Cam again. So this will be video 9 of the deposition for Ghislaine Maxwell. It was basically Virginia Roberts sued her for defamation because she kept saying she was a liar and all this other stuff. But anyway, we're going to start right here on page 202 and where it says you can answer. You need to re-ask me the question. Sure. Did you issue a press statement redacted in January of 2015 stating that Virginia Roberts' claims were, quote, obvious lies? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. Can you ask it a different way, please? I will ask it again, and you can listen carefully. Did you issue a press statement redacted in January of 2015 where you stated that Virginia Roberts' claims were, quote, obvious lies? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation for my lawyer redacted, instructed redacting to issue a statement. Today, did you say that Virginia lied about, quote, absolutely everything? I said that there are some things she may not have lied about. So are you saying that it's obvious lies that Jeffrey Epstein engaged in sexual contact with Virginia while Virginia was underage? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. Can you ask the question again? Are you saying it's an obvious lie that Jeffrey Epstein engaged in sexual conduct with Virginia while Virginia was underage? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. You can answer. Try again, please. Are you saying that it's an obvious lie that Jeffrey Epstein engaged in sexual conduct with Virginia while Virginia was underage? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. Again, I'm telling you, first of all, it was a statement that was issued by my lawyer and through my lawyer redacted. I understand that. I'm asking you, are you saying that it's an obvious lie that Jeffrey Epstein engaged in sexual conduct with Virginia while Virginia was underage? Is that a lie? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. You can answer. So I cannot testify to what redacted and redacted decided to put. I can testify to what Virginia's obvious lies are as regards to me. I cannot make representations about all the many lies she may or may not have told about Jeffrey. So is Virginia lying when she says, is it an obvious lie when she says that she had sex with Jeffrey Epstein while she was underage? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. Again, I'm testifying to what I know to be true. I can only testify to all the many lies she told about me. I cannot testify to what lies she told about somebody else. Given she told so many about me, one can probably infer she's lying about everything. So you think she's lying when she says she had sex with Jeffrey Epstein when she was underage? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. Again, I can only talk about, hold on, sorry, what I can positively say myself, not what somebody else is going to represent. When you were saying that her claims of having sex with Jeffrey Epstein were obvious lies, are you saying she's lying about engaging in sexual conduct with Jeffrey Epstein when she was underage? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. You can answer. Again, this was a statement that was put out from my lawyer, redacted, and I can only testify to the obvious lies that she says about me. I cannot make representations about lies she says about somebody else. But she lies so many times about me, one can probably infer she's lying about everything. So is she not lying is she telling the truth when she says she had sex with Jeffrey Epstein when she was underage? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. Again, I don't know how else to tell you. I can only talk about what I know to be true. What I know is her story about how she claims that initial situation happened is so egregiously false and such a giant, fat, enormous, repulsive, disgusting, inappropriate, vile lie that I cannot testify or that I can testify to. Was she lying when she said she met you at Mar-a-Lago? Again, I already testified I don't recall meeting her at Mar-a-Lago. We showed you a document where you said you met her at Mar-a-Lago when she was 17. Is that correct? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. I think I already testified to that. What I remembered based on all the rubbish she's written and all the many articles I've read, maybe in the moment when I wrote that, have caused me to have that, but on reflection, I don't recall it as I sit here today. Are you saying that it was an obvious lie that you approached Virginia while she was underage at Mar-a-Lago? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. First of all, we can all agree here, all of you sitting here, that the lies that you perpetrated in the press that she was 15, and we should all agree now that that is fake, a lie that was perpetrated between all of you to make the story more exciting. Can we agree on that? That's not my question. Can we agree that she was not the age she said, and you put that in the press? That is obviously, manifestly, absolutely, totally a lie. Miss McCauley, I'm going to put on record, or on the record, Miss Maxwell very inappropriately and very harshly pounded our law firm table in an inappropriate manner. I asked she take a deep breath and calm down. I know this is a difficult position, but physical assault or threats is not appropriate. So no, no pounding, no stomping. No, that's not appropriate. Can we be clear? I didn't threaten anybody. Mr. Pagliuca, stop. You made your record. There's no dent in the table. I don't see any chips. Can we take a break now? Ms. McCauley, I think it's appropriate to take a break. Videographer, it's 1:56 and we're off the record. Recess. The videographer, it's now 2:13. We're starting disc number 5 and we're back on the record. Miss Maxwell, how old was Virginia Roberts when you met her at Mar-a-Lago? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. I know today that she was 17 years old. Are you saying that it's an obvious lie that Virginia traveled on Jeffrey Epstein's airplanes? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. You can answer. Are you referring to my statement where that says that? I'm referring to the language you use in your statement that says obvious lies. Can you read my entire statement? Sure, let me pass it out. Maxwell, Exhibit 10, email, marked for identification. This is Bates GM 00068, and we will mark it as what you have in front of you is the statement at the top. This was produced by your counsel. It is indicated Bates number GM 00068. At the top, the date reflects January 2nd, 2015. From appears to be a redacted. Subject line is you, and then there's a number of individuals you can see at the top that are copied on this that is sent to and BCC'd on this statement. The statement, there are two parts of it. There's an opening email that says, please find and attach quotable statement on behalf of Miss Maxwell. And there's more language there, and it's from redacted. And then it says in the body of it, Jane Doe number 3, or Jane Doe 3 is Virginia Roberts, so not a new individual. The allegations made by, and it says Victoria, but I believe that means Virginia Roberts, against Ghislaine Maxwell are not true. The original allegations are not new and have been fully responded to and shown to be untrue. And the next paragraph says, each time the story is retold, it changes with new salacious details about public figures and world leaders. And now it's alleged by Miss Roberts that redacted is involved in having sexual relations with her, which he denies. Miss Roberts' claims are obvious lies and should be treated as such and not publicized as news, as they are defamatory. The last paragraph states Ghislaine Maxwell's original response to the lies and defamatory claims remain the same. Maxwell strongly denies allegations of an unsavory nature, which have appeared in the British press and elsewhere, and reserves her right to seek redress at the repetition of such old defamatory claims. Are you saying that it's an obvious lie that Virginia Roberts traveled on Jeffrey Epstein's planes? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. I'm saying what's an obvious lie, and I think we can all agree, you just had the case tossed out by a redacted. He just got removed from the case because you put him in a case that he wasn't supposed to be in. So what was said about him is not true. Are you saying that it's an obvious lie that Virginia Roberts traveled on Jeffrey Epstein's plane? Mr. Pagluca, objection to the Foreman Foundation. You've given me plane records that has her name on it, but as I already testified, those aren't federally mandated things, and I can see her name on it, but that's what I told you. I don't recall her on any planes. Is it the is that one of Virginia's obvious lies? There are more obvious ones. Is that one of them? I can't testify to her being on a plane or not. So is that an obvious lie? There are more obvious lies like redacted. I understand there are more obvious ones. I'm asking you, is the fact that she said she traveled on Epstein's planes an obvious lie? I think we can probably say because you see her name on a plane record and she went from A to B, that would not be the obvious lie that I would pick. What obvious lie were you picking when you made this statement? There are so many that I would be thrilled to go through all of them. Let's go through them. What's the first one? Her characterization of the first meeting at Mar-a-Lago. What part of that was an obvious lie? The characterization that she said she was accosted. She looked like, as best as I can recall, if I met her at Mar-a-Lago, as she claims, she worked at Mar-a-Lago, she claims. In her statement, she worked at Mar-a-Lago, she would have been dressed as all the spa people in Mar-a-Lago would have been. It would have been impossible to identify her as someone other than someone who worked at a spa. She made many claims. She's been a bathroom attendant, front of house attendant. We don't know what she was. So her obvious lies are her contradictory of her own personal statements within that. So what part of her statement relating to Mar-a-Lago? I'm carrying on. I'm sorry, I thought you were done. Please. Her statement also that she was driven by her father to Palm Beach. She was driven by her mother, as a matter of fact. Her whole entire characterization of the first meeting with Jeffrey, as I was outside speaking to her mother. Let me stop you there so we don't get too far ahead. Let me make sure I understand your testimony. In the first piece, when you were talking, I believe you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, that her characterization of the first meeting at Mar-a-Lago was an obvious lie. What part of that meeting was an obvious lie? By her own testimony, all her various many different descriptions of what she was or wasn't, or where she was or wasn't, they have all changed. She was either front of house or bathroom attendant. I don't know what she was. So just by her own words, one doesn't know what's true and what isn't true. Are you saying what position she said she was working in? Is that what you're considering the obvious lie? I said inconsistency within her own statement from everything. So in the beginning, it starts off with a different statement. Then I believe you said the second piece was that she was driven by her father. I said she was driven by her mother. That's the obvious lie. It's an obvious lie to me. You said why don't you state it in your own words, but the characterization of how she was with Jeffrey, what about that is an obvious lie? I was standing outside talking to her mother, so the entire story is a fabrication. Did she not have sex with Jeffrey Epstein during that first massage? Mr. Pagluca, objection to the Foreman Foundation. I was talking to her mother, so do you know whether that's an obvious lie, whether she had sex in that room or not? Her story about what happened. Let's also be the story as first hit the press was that somebody else led her to Jeffrey's room. It was not me, and then it turned to being me. So we have an obviously important inconsistency lie in my. That's how I would characterize a lie. It cannot be me or somebody else. It can only be one or the other. Who's the other person she said took her to the room? Why don't you ask her? I'm asking you. How would I possibly know? You're saying that's a lie. It was a lie in the paper. She said it in the newspaper. It was in the newspaper. How do you know she wasn't identifying you? She said somebody. How do you know that somebody wasn't you? And I think it's actually a girl named Haley Robeson, just saying, because she was on the Netflix documentary, Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich. You know, that's something you might want to watch. Some of those girls have been around, and one of them called herself like the Heidi Fleiss. So Heidi Fleiss was, I think, a Hollywood madam. And anyway, so one of the teenage girls or young girls compared herself to Heidi Fleiss. So that tells you everything you need to know. And I think it was in some of the court documents we looked at as well. So anyway, going back. Okay, why did it suddenly become me? Why not say it was me and be done with it? So it's a lie because she originally may not have named you and then named you later. It's obviously inconsistent to somebody who wasn't me. How do you know it wasn't you? I know it wasn't me because I was talking to her mother, but she then named you. Is what you're saying? That's an obvious lie. She named you. It's an obvious lie because I wasn't even in the house. Is it an obvious who did lead her up to Jeffrey's room while you were talking to her mother? You would have to ask Virginia. I don't know if she was led up to his room. You were standing with the mother. Is that correct? That's correct. Who was working at the house that day? Redacted. Would redacted typically lead someone up to the room where Jeffrey was having a massage? I don't know. She was led up to the room to have a massage. She would have found her way on her own. I would suggest that that entire story never happened at all in any of its forms. If you stood outside with the mother, what did you think happened inside then? I believe that somebody, it wasn't me, redacted, probably took her to meet Jeffrey Epstein. Redacted and redacted. Did Jeffrey tell you that? No, but that would have been a normal interaction. I don't believe for a second. I know her entire characterization didn't happen because I was outside talking to her mother the entire time. Why would she have come for a massage and not given a massage? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. We're talking about her characterization of the first time she came to the house. If I'm following you correctly, you're saying she walked in and would have gone to, it's your assumption she would have gone and talked to Jeffrey and left. When I was working for Jeffrey, typically he would meet someone before getting a massage from them to see if he wanted to have a massage from them, typically. So it would not have come, have someone, excuse me, so he would not have someone come up to the room and start a massage. He would not. So the young girls in the police report who said they came over and were led up to the room on the first day, would they be wrong about that? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. I can't comment what happened when I was not at the house. I can only comment when I was at the house. Was there ever a time where a woman came to the house for the first time to give a massage and Jeffrey had that massage that day? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. Can we talk about adult professional masseuses, please? I'm asking whether adult or underage. I'm not interested in talking about underage. I can only testify what I know. Professional masseuses, adult. I cannot testify to anything else. Why can't you testify to an underage girl that came over and was led up to the room for a massage? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. The police records you are referring to. You're saying that didn't happen. You're saying I can only testify to adults that came for an interview and were led up to the room. Why can't you testify whether an underage girl was brought in for an interview and led up? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form and foundation. Go ahead. You can re-ask the question. Why can't you testify as to an underage girl who came over for an interview and then was then led up to the room for the massage? You've mangled your entire question. Can you please re-ask that in a way that I can answer it correctly? Why can you not testify as to whether an underage girl, you said you can testify as to females that were over the age of 18. Why can't you testify as to whether an underage girl came over for an interview and on the same day? I don't know what you mean by interview. You just said that Jeffrey Epstein interviewed. It was your word. Interviewed the masseuses before they gave massages. Is that correct? The word interview is making me, I'm English, so you could have some difficulty understanding the way I communicate. I'm using your word. Then I will reuse it a different word. You would meet them because receiving a massage is something you want to make sure you're comfortable with the person. And so interview is not the correct word, but you would meet them to have a conversation with them to see if you want to have a massage with that person. Did Jeffrey Epstein ever meet an underage girl and on that same day receive a massage from the girl? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. I can't possibly testify to what happened after I was not in the house. If you are aware at any time you were at the house, did you ever see that? Miss Manager, let her finish the question. I can only testify to people who were adult professional masseuses who came to the house. Cannot testify to something I'm not party to and don't know about. I can only testify to what I saw. So when professional adult masseuse, male and or females, would come to the house, typically when I was there, typically he would meet with them prior to have a conversation with them about their experience, whatever, to decide whether it would then A, if he had time for a massage at that time, or B, whether he could have a massage at that moment. Was Virginia an adult when she came over? Was she over 18? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. I think we established as of today, we are all aware, everyone in this room, that she was 17. So you've been present with the minor, oh, excuse me, so you have been present when a minor was brought over for a massage for Jeffrey. Can I say, as you are able to have a massage at 17, so she came as a masseuse? I'm not saying whether or not you're able to. I'm saying you've been present at Jeffrey's home when an underage minor has come over to give him a massage. That's just not how that works. You're able to be a masseuse at 17, so she came to give for a massage. At 17, you're able to come and give a massage. I'm not asking whether she's able to do it. I'm asking, were you present at the home when a girl under the age of 18 came over for the purposes of giving a massage? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. You can answer. You can be a professional masseuse at 17 in Florida. So, as far as I am aware, a professional masseuse showed up for a massage. There's nothing inappropriate or incorrect about that, and your mischaracterization of it, I think, is unfortunate. How many teenagers did he have that were professional masseuses that worked in his home? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. How many? First of all, I'm not aware of any teenagers who worked in his home. You're aware of Virginia Roberts, and you've stated she was 17 and she worked for him, correct? No, I did not state that at all. You're mischaracterizing my words and what I said. What I said was that we can all agree, and I think at this point, there's not one person in this room, however much you would like her to be younger, to say she was not 17, because that has been a very offensive thing that you have all done. So she was 17. At 17, you're allowed to be a professional masseuse. And as far as I'm concerned, she was a professional masseuse. There's nothing inappropriate or incorrect about her coming at that age or at that time to give a massage. Her entire characterization of her first time at the house was to me an obvious lie, given it was impossible for her entire story to take place, given I was speaking to her mother the entire she was at the house. So it was impossible that day, that first day she came, and you were speaking to the mother, for Virginia Roberts to have had sex with Jeffrey Epstein during the time that you were outside with her mother. Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. You again are completely mischaracterizing. I can only testify to what I heard. Obvious lies about me and her obvious lies about me are that she, as you put out to the papers and every other which way, went upstairs with her, didn't happen. So that to me is an absolute obvious lie. I also don't believe that her her characterization of the length of time she was there, because as I recall, she just met with Jeffrey and then left with her mother. That's my recollection. So you were standing outside the entire time that Virginia was in the house. Is that correct? That is correct. So can you testify as to whether or not, do you know either from Jeffrey or any other source whether or not Virginia Roberts had sex with Jeffrey on that first day with, or that she was at the house? We can categorically state absolutely 100% or 1,000% that she did not have any type of sexual relations as described by you in your court papers that took place, because those allegedly, according to her lies, involved some aspect of me. As I was standing outside with her mother the entire time, her entire story is a lie. Therefore, to ask me what she did or didn't do during that time, I can only testify to what she said about me, which was 1,000% false. So let's not take the first time. Let's take the next time she comes. No, no. How can you do that when the basis of this entire horrible story that you have put out is based on this first appalling story that was written, repeated, multiplied by the press, that lied about her age, lied about the first time she came, lied about and characterized the entire first time? I've been so absolutely appalled by her story and appalled by the entire characterization of it. And I apologize sincerely for my banging at the table earlier. I hope you accept my apology. It's born out of years of feeling the pressure of this entire lie that she has perpetuated from our first time. And whilst I recognize that was, I hope you forgive me sincerely, because it was just the length of time that the terrible story has been told and retold and rehashed when I know it to be 100% false. So not the first time she came, but the second time she came, or the third time, or any time she came, did you ever participate in a massage with her in Jeffrey Epstein's room? I've never participated at any time with Virginia in a massage with Jeffrey. Have you ever participated at any time with Virginia in any kind of sexual contact or sexual touching with Jeffrey or in Virginia? I have not. So we're going through the list of obvious lies, and you were talking about the first time, which I believe we have completed, but you can add to that if you need to. What other obvious lies did Virginia Roberts tell that you were referring to in your statement? Oh my goodness. Well, I think we can totally cover the redacted story, the story that I flew with him, or flew him with redacted, and there was a dinner with other people, and that entire thing is 100% fictitious. I've testified for the record, and I'm happy to do again, that I've never flown redacted myself as a pilot in a helicopter at any time, any place, at any time, to any part of the world. What other obvious lies were you referring to? She was referring to redacted. She's referring to a bunch of people. I don't believe redacted ever came to the island at any time ever. I didn't even know redacted, actually. Just one moment. I want to hear all of them. But when you say you don't believe redacted ever came to the island, do you know whether redacted ever came to the island? Redacted never came to the island. How do you know that? Jeffrey doesn't know him. I don't know him. And I think had redacted, I don't think, had redacted gone to the island during the period when I would have been involved in organizing a trip, I would have been aware of it. So go ahead. You had another one? It would have been easier if I could see. Do you mind if I take a reference to some of those newspaper articles, or you just want me to go through memory? Go from memory. Her entire characterization of what took place in London at my house with Prince Andrew, I'm sure that's who that is. Was it an obvious lie that she was at your house in London? We can't really establish the photograph and all that. I don't know if that's true, if that's a real picture or not. So you dispute that you were actually photographed in your townhome in London. I don't recognize that picture. I'm not sure if that's a real picture or not. And have you talked to Prince Andrew about that picture? We discussed Virginia's entire tale. It should be TALE. and he asked me if he ever knew her. So did Redacted tell you that he did not have sex with Virginia Roberts? He doesn't even know who Virginia Roberts is. Did he tell you that he didn't have sex with her? It would be difficult to have sex with someone you don't know. He may not remember her. I think the inference is he didn't know who she was. He didn't have any recollection of her whatsoever. Has Redacted ever come to your London townhome? Yes. Ever being the entire time I own my house? Yes. Can I go on? Uh, excuse me. Can I go on her obvious lies if you have more? I have her entire characterization. I took her shopping into Burberry and bought her a very expensive dress. And if this photo were real, and if this is, I would never, the outfit doesn't work at all. So, do you not remember taking her shopping, or are you saying it's an obvious lie? You know, you did not take her shopping. I did not take her shopping. I did not buy her a $5,000 handbag. Did Jeffrey buy her a $5,000 handbag? Her accusation was that I did. Or excuse me, her accusation was that I did. Do you know if Jeffrey bought her a handbag during that trip to London? I don't know what he did. She accused me. I can't physically remember buying a $5,000, not for her, not for anyone, not for me. Did you ever go shopping with Virginia? I don't recall ever shopping with Virginia. Do you have, or did you have more to go over, or did you want to ask me my questions? Or did you want me to ask my question? Excuse me. The entire characterization of what took place in my house in London would have been impossible. Can I ask, do you still have it, the picture of the London townhome with you in it? Jeffrey 00407. As you're looking at this picture, Miss Maxwell, as I'm looking at it, it's on the right hand side. There appears to be a picture hanging on the wall. Do you recall that in your London townhome? It's a little difficult to see. Do you recall having a picture on the wall there by the room where you're standing? I do have a picture. Do you recall on the left hand side having a railing that looks like that with sort of a bubble wood top? I do. Okay, I'm going to stop it here and then we'll start back up probably tomorrow. Kind of getting done with this for today. But anyway, I will talk to y'all later. Y'all have a good afternoon and I'll see you around. Have a good one. Bye.